Hello and welcome to the 66th episode of Growing Up Geek. That is the weekly podcast for geek entertainment and nostalgia. My name is Brad, and I am joined by a man who is here in his mode, my brother Rob.
Uh-huh.
What's up, dude?
Sweating Gatorade, of course.
Of course. Is it hot there?
No, but that song was used in Gatorade commercials, so yeah.
That's right.
It's a disturbing image, and every time I see it in the commercial, I'm like, I don't want that to happen.
I don't think so. When it's purple, it's especially disturbing.
Yeah, and if you saw a guy running at you with a basketball and that dripping off his face, I'd get out of the way too, so there you go.
Right. If people don't already know, we're not ever in the same room. This is all CG trickery.
Yeah, we essentially make a Pennsylvania sandwich.
Right.
Because you broadcast from Pittsburgh, I broadcast from Philadelphia, and in between, Harrisburg just blows up.
That's right. We are repping both coasts of Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and get into geek news, shall we?
Well, actually, we're doing a handful of news stories, aren't we?
Oh, shoot. Yeah, you're right. I should say up front that typically this would be a segment of our show, but this week there's a lot of news. GDC is going on, which is the Game Developers Conference, and just a bunch of things have broken, so Rob and I have agreed to do an entire news show.
Yeah.
So what is one of your favorite geek news stories this week?
All right, starting off, I think I've talked about every time something like this surfaces, I have to mention it.
Do it.
But this time, it's really real this time.
Oh, sure.
Wiimote for the Xbox 360.
Okay, yeah, it's true. I think this story has come up like twice before.
I'm almost positive. But this time, there's an actual product and an actual game to support the product. Okay, it is called the Gametrak Freedom.
All
Gametrak
right.
spelled Trak, just to be cool.
Okay, what does it do?
Well, much like the
It'd be funny if you just stopped right there. Well,
never mind.
Does this add Wii functionality to the 360?
It adds a new type of controller that obviously will have to be, written into the games for it to work. But the stick itself it's to be held in one hand, like it looks like a remote control.
Right.
It has the face buttons at the top where your thumb would normally rest. Beneath that is the directional pad. So that's a little reverse from what the Wii has, but it's still, I think, a better choice.
So support for this, I would think, is going to be pretty low.
That's the big hard part. But here's the cool thing, was that they already have a third-party game being developed for it.
Oh, okay.
And I think it's going to be coming with it.
Kind of like the Wii Sports of this thing.
Yeah. And when I found out the name of the game, I was kind of like already a little bit on board. It's called Squeebles.
Okay.
Which has always been one of my favorite nonsense words.
Okay, cool.
But there's a full trailer out, and this is not a Wii game.
Yeah.
The graphics are amazing, high definition, ray traced texture map bump thing.
Yeah.
Where you have like these various kind of ball shaped characters, which are the Squeebles.
Sure.
And it's like a collection of mini games, but rather than it just being like, regular bowling or whatever like that, one of the ones they show is them like grinding a Squeeble into like a meat dicer. Okay,
so
not for kids necessarily.
Reminiscent of Raving Rabbids.
Yeah, exactly. Very similar to that. And back to the hardware itself, rather than having like the infrared bar that's on the top of the TV, this actually has two ultrasonic sound producers that you put on either side of the television. And so it can tell pretty accurately where it is in three-dimensional space in the room.
Oh, okay.
So as with a lot of the stuff going on at GDC, implementation is the biggest hurdle.
Right. I mean, if the app that it comes with is good enough, it might be worth buying it, just like buying the Scene It game and it comes with a weird controller that you're never going to use again. But,
absolutely. Well, for many people, that's what the Wii itself was. It was just a way to play Wii Sports.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Is there any word on pricing on this or availability?
No word on pricing, and they said it'll be available in the fall. And then with the PlayStation 3 version soon to follow.
And that is the Freedom Track.
With Squeebles the game.
Awesome. Okay, well, I will take it from there. How about an uplifting story?
Okay.
Here, I really I was warmed by this. Spiderman saves autistic boy in Thailand.
Hey.
Hey, why not? Sure. This is a photograph accompanies this news story that shows this sweet-looking kid getting hugged basically by Spider-Man, and he's holding an orange juice. I'll just go ahead and read it here, and it says, a Bangkok fireman dressed as Spider-Man rescued an 8-year-old boy who had climbed to the third-floor window ledge during his first day at a special needs school. When the teachers attempted to persuade the kid to come back inside, that failed, and they called the fire station. Now, this is the cool part. A comment made by the boy's mother prompted Somchai Yasubai, I may be mispronouncing that, this is the firefighter's name, to take a different approach. He rushed back to the station to grab his Spider-Man costume. That's right, Yasubi keeps a Spider-Man costume in his locker.
Wow.
This is awesome. So at the end of the day, Spider-Man climbed out onto the ledge and told the boy that, quote, Spider-Man is here to rescue you, no monsters are going to attack you, and asked the boy to walk slowly towards me, as running could be dangerous. And the boy immediately smiled, stood up, and walked into Somchai's arms.
Aww.
Now, how cool is that? That is just...
That's really cool.
I don't know how risky it was for him to run back to get his Spider-Man costume while the boy is standing on the ledge, but I guess, they had the time to kill, maybe. I don't know.
I feel like from now on, all firemen should keep Spider-Man suits in their lockers, or at least, some sort of superhero outfit, because as this proves, it can come in handy.
And he actually said, Spider-Man is here to save you. I mean, that probably blew that kid's mind.
Mm-hmm.
He's lucky the kid didn't, jump off the ledge from excitement or something.
He's like, rescue me with your web shooter. Okay.
Right, yeah. Whoops.
I mean, that's a danger with any kid, really. Just,
Yeah.
you get to a point where you think, flight should be possible. I've seen it enough on TV.
We all tried it, yeah. I know Amber's brother jumped off of a deck and shouted, I am Superman when he was a boy. And they said he landed on the ground and didn't move for 10 minutes. And they all were literally like, oh, God, we just saw our brother die. And, fortunately he got back up. But, I mean, imagine that, though, if you run out to a kid and you're just like, Superman is here to save you. He'd be like, holy crap. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
It wouldn't work past a certain age. I wouldn't recommend that with suicidal adults or whatever, know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just thought that was cool. So what was your next news story then?
Well, I guess the next thing that kind of caught my attention coming out of GDC. Now, GDC is still going on as we're recording the show, so a lot of things may be yet to be revealed. But Nintendo had their press conference. And some interesting stuff coming out of there. They revealed a new Zelda game, which, yay for Zelda fans. I'm just starting to get into that game. But
yeah, you said that you actually played your first game of Zelda the other day.
I
saw that on your
Twitter. Yeah, I'm a Zelda virgin, as they would maybe say. I don't know if that's what they say. But
yeah, so am I. I've never played Zelda, and Ocarina of Time is considered the greatest game of all time by most gaming magazines.
Exactly.
And I'm like, I have not played the greatest game of all time, apparently.
I know, and for me, that I feel kind of missing out, so I gave that a try. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it gave it a little more interesting perspective whenever they announced this new Zelda game, and it's for the DSi, obviously, kind of a killer app sort of vehicle to get more people to buy it. Anyways, yeah, other stuff like that. But for me, the biggest news out of this was that they are coming out with a new Punch Out.
Yes, they are.
And
now, have you not seen this before? Because I think, not to call your news old, but I think they announced this before.
Well, yeah, a few days ago. But this is the first public, people can get their hands on it and stuff like that.
Right.
And
yeah.
they brought out details concerning it, like that you'll be able to play it either just holding controller the classic way, so it's very much like how Punch Out played on the NES. Yeah, exactly. Happy about that you don't have to be punching at the screen all night.
No.
Also, that the original roster is there, except for Mike Tyson, of course.
Yeah. Oh, okay, pop quiz. Let's see how many of the original... We'll go back and forth. How many of the original roster can you name?
None.
Oh, okay.
King Hippo.
Piston Honda.
Glass Joe.
Baron von Kaiser?
Cola, wasn't it?
Maybe. There was the Super
Mr.
Macho...
Dream.
Okay.
The replacement for Mike Tyson.
Yeah, Mr. Dream. After they lost their license to say Mike Tyson.
Something
God.
Bull.
The Bald Bull.
Bald Bull.
He was thick. Right. He had that neck fat.
You had to hit him just as he was rushing you.
I know, and dude, I actually remember when you were younger, And kids do this, so I'm not trying to embarrass you, but I remember you would actually, like, if you were getting into a real fight, you would, like, pull the punch-out crap where you were like, whoop, 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 whoop. Like,
whoop.
Yeah, you would make that sound while you were rushing towards us, whatever. And I was like, oh, no.
It's a big kind of tell,
But anyway, so yeah, you punch out rocks.
Yeah, and then they also announced balance board, so you use the balance board to dodge out of the way if you want that full in-the-ring experience with the cartoon character.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's kind of exciting to me. I must admit,
Sweet.
I'm playing the Wii more these days, and that might actually be something that I'm like, yeah, Punch Out.
Yeah, I could punch the dude out.
Punch some dudes.
Now, did you already mention the second way you can play it?
Second is, in fact, punching at the screen using the Wiimotes.
Awesome.
So yeah, that's kind of their thing that they've announced. It's pretty cool, and the arcade is now one of the consoles that they're supporting, so you'll see more arcade games
through the virtual console.
Out, yeah.
Sweet. Always room for some punch out.
Indeed. And Jello. Okay, so what about you, Brad?
All right, next news story. Time watches footage from Cameron's Avatar. James Cameron, he don't make bad movies, basically.
No,
and for those detractors that may disagree, let's do the rundown here.
Mm-hmm.
Terminator
2.
The Abyss.
Aliens.
Titanic. But yeah, okay.
Yeah.
The guy has a good record, okay? I mean, in fact, if you look back, I don't think you can find too much, if any, garbage at all in this guy's, so he chooses carefully.
There's no Howard the Ducks in his closet.
Correct. And that's kind of what I want to bring up about this is his next film is called Avatar. And it's been in the running for a long time. It is not based on the Nickelodeon anime that M. Night Shyamalan is making a film of. This is a science fiction thing. It stars Sam Worthington, who's going to be in Terminator Salvation. It has Sigourney Weaver, actually, which is kind of awesome. Giovanni Ribisi. And, this movie's going to use some new technology. Of course, James Cameron always at the forefront. One is called e-motion capture that takes images from tiny cameras that are rigged to the actors' heads to replicate their expressions, and it uses digital 3D. So this movie will be, when you go to see it, you'll be able to see it in 3D, which, of course, as we've mentioned a million times, is what every movie is doing now. The film is set in the future, and most of the action takes place on a mythical planet called Pandora, and all of the lush jungles and aquatic environments of Pandora are computer-generated, which is where you sort of start to see the George Lucas, itch. So basically, Time got to see it, and they were pretty blown away by it. And the quote from them is, "I couldn't tell what was real and what was animated, even knowing that a 9-foot-tall blue dappled dude couldn't possibly be real. The scenes were so startling and absorbing that the following morning I had this sensation of wanting to return there as if Pandora were real."
Wow.
So that is now. There's been no footage of the film shown to the public, so we really don't know what to expect with this. There's just some shots of James Cameron leaning over some big technology and smiling, and making millions. But I'm very excited to see this because, like I said, the man just has a pretty impeccable track record. But he could be pulling a George Lucas, with the CG stuff.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. And what I think. When it comes to the difference between George Lucas and maybe Steven Spielberg or James Cameron is kind of that whole end product mentality that I think Steve Jobs is known for,
right?
Which is don't release it unless it absolutely is perfect,
right?
I think George Lucas is so quick to be like, well, we need to develop new ways to make this movie.
He's using the cutting edge, but he's kind of rushing it out the door.
Yeah, and so you're like, this is phony. This is a half-baked product.
That Jabba the Hutt in the special edition is not getting any better. I will tell you. I've recently seen him, and it's like, oh no, it's not aging well.
You see some breakup in the pixels,
like that Lost logo. Dang it, that Lost logo every time.
We can. It's okay. Can we get a petition started? Anybody watching this show, if you watch the Lost logo, there is a break as it's coming towards you.
A polygon break.
It's easily fixed, but they haven't done anything to fix it.
And Amber knows it's coming because every time, wow, the logo comes, I'm like, here it comes. Ah! It's like...
It came to a point where I didn't even have to say anything, just kind of look over at my roommate, and he'd be like, I hate you. I hate you for showing me that. I hate that you pointed it out.
I know, but dude, what the heck is going on? They got plenty of money. Fix it.
All right.
But I just want to say, Cameron actually wrote the treatment for this movie in 1995.
There you go.
To try to push this technology. So I think you're right. I think you're going to see a lot more of a sort of a tempered hand with Avatar.
Nice. Well, if I'm not mistaken, it's time for the big story.
It is time.
Now, this is probably, in my opinion, the biggest story out of GDC. I know you're excited about this, Brad.
Yeah.
And it took us totally by surprise.
Yeah, GDC is not known for big announcements. It's a developers conference. Game developers come and talk about how they created games, and it's very industry.
Yeah.
It's not where they really unveil a whole lot.
Apparently this year is different, because this year is the unveiling of OnLive, a new service/micro console, which is such a futuristic concept that it's hard to believe that it's actually upon us.
You took the words right out of my mouth. This is the technology I didn't expect to see for 2 generations, basically.
Yeah.
And I will say I'm all for it. So let's explain what it is.
Okay. OnLive is essentially a video streaming service, but that video is so low latency that it's able to be used for you to play video games on a server that is up to 1,000 miles away.
Right. It's gaming on demand, basically. If anyone has Comcast and they pull up a movie on demand, you wait a few seconds, and then the movie plays and everything. This is apparently you wait 8 seconds and the game comes up. You don't actually have physical discs or anything. You just have this tiny box or this 1 megabyte web browser plug-in.
Yeah.
And you put that in, and then basically you are streaming a video game, which has been promised in the past, but now?
Right.
Who the heck are these guys?
Yeah, I know, and it should be pointed out, all you need is either a 1.5 meg per second connection for standard definition, and the guy said it could actually be a little less, but that's what they ask.
Yeah, you don't even need that great of a computer. It's almost like they found a loophole. If this works, it means they found a loophole to ever needing a bad-to-the-bone computer.
Right.
You could have your same laptop for the next 10 years, and they will upgrade their hardware on their end.
Yeah.
And as long as you can still stream, you'll be playing on the baddest consoles that exist. That's the promise. Anyway.
And also, if you want to get it in high definition, it's a 5 megabyte connection. Now, my connection from Fios is supposed to be 20 megabyte.
Exactly.
So, it's out there. It's easily done, and I'm like, if you can do this, great.
Yeah, and that's the big question. Can they do this? And to be fair, we have to give the flip side that nobody has actually seen this demoed really yet.
Yeah, they have.
Oh, they have? Okay, I was going to say...
They demoed it at GDC.
Oh, okay,
I'm sorry. They showed a guy with basically an entry-level Mac, playing Crysis in high definition from a server that was 15 miles away.
From a better computer.
Right, and that's the amazing thing, is that in the end, the graphics capabilities are infinitely scalable.
Right. I feel like some sort of wandering weird prophet or something, but I keep telling people, put your stuff online. Start moving your life online, because that's really where everything's going, and you don't want to be tied to local stuff.
Yeah.
All of this physical media and everything. To me, it's it's going, and I can't wait for it to go, because I just want to stream everything.
Yeah. I mean, did you see whenever they turn this thing on, right? The OnLive logo comes up. It's very kind of Xbox 360, reveal of the thing. But then it flies through this portal, and you see this world of just games and stuff beneath you, little screens. And then it flies up to it. And the neat thing was on the menu, the videos you see playing around you are all, supposedly from actual games that are going on. And it occurred to me, at first I was like, nah, that can't be true. And I'm like, you know what? No, it definitely could be true, because this all could be being rendered on the world's most powerful machine, world's most expensive machine, and all you're paying is just the fee to stream the video signal over to you, to watch it happen.
That's pretty crazy. Now we have to raise the issue of lag.
Yeah.
Because as people who play online know, especially games like Street Fighter, which Street Fighter 4, I have a blast playing that online, but there is lag, and for a game like Street Fighter, and some people have pointed out, Rock Band especially, timing is so critical, and to have a stream coming, you need guaranteed speed. Now, if you're running a 20 meg a second connection like you are, which Fios is gonna, I believe, take over eventually, fiber optic, whatever form it's in.
Yeah.
But if you're running that, you're well above the limit that they're talking about, and maybe your performance would be perfect. I don't know.
Well, obviously, the big thing with this is that it's not going to be like, oh, go buy yours today. It's going to be like, well, now OnLive service is available in your area. That they're going to have to set up a server farm near you to have the speed of connection between the two. So that's kind of awesome. Where it becomes, the implementation is important, but.
Okay, so not everybody's going to have access to this. It's more like DSL, where you have to have a local call office.
Yeah, but the technology is believable. Mm-hmm. These are not just, like phantom lapboard guys.
Well, no, that's the thing. I'm surprised how real it is, like, instantly. Like, again, these people, like, where the heck did they come from?
Well, no, this is, these aren't...
It's like people behind Web TV.
Right, the guy who made Web TV, the guy who made QuickTime, which remember when QuickTime first came out, you're like, huh? He mentioned that like this is a guy who has been in the video compression game from the beginning.
Right.
And he was explaining at his conference, QuickTime and all video compression methods up until now have been about sending a linear signal, so that it's okay to have a 1 second delay or something like that. He's like, but we had to build something up, and they've been working on this for 7 years.
I know, and that's the thing. He said it was a proprietary algorithm, which is basically like saying it's our technology.
Exactly. That is designed for nonlinear video, for games,
So there it is. Now they're saying holiday release, and which again, like, okay, like going full blown with this,
Yeah, and I think that's the cool thing is there isn't a huge initial investment for the consumer. Like the box itself probably won't cost too much money at all. And then to get it on your computer, obviously a 1 megabyte file, you're going to be getting that. And then from then on, it's all a matter of paying for service.
Now, I was also impressed to see the list of publishers because the Phantom never had that. Mm-hmm. I mean, people joke about, vaporware like the Phantom. But to my knowledge, Phantom didn't come out of the gate with like Ubisoft, and they talk about Prince of Persia and Burnout. And supposedly the thing I had read was that Burnout looks like it does on the PS3 basically.
Yeah, and it could conceivably look better.
That is crazy. I love that they say they're going to upgrade their hardware. So now you're a big controller guy.
Yeah.
What do you think of the controller? It is real. It is not a CG render.
Right. That's the one thing that I looked at it and I'm like, well, let's see here. It looks good. It's definitely a Xbox 360 controller clone. Short of the media keys on the bottom, which are really cool. I like that idea.
There's like play, pause, fast forward buttons like underneath where the analog sticks are.
Yeah, that's absolutely a neat thing. And the face buttons are in the configuration that says LIVE in kind of a clockwise.
That's a little weird.
Yeah, because I was looking at it, and at first I read it, and I said, that says lie. Like LIEV.
I know. It's like
is this an April Fool's joke?
And it is close to April.
Yeah.
It's like,
But they also have, on the front of the console is 2 USB ports. And they said you can actually play with a mouse and a keyboard if you choose. The one, I got to say, by the way, big announcement and big demo that got me really excited was they announced that they are partners with this company. I forget, they're like called Modo or Movo, which is like a face capturing studio.
Right.
And they pulled up a demo through Live that was this face, saying, hi, welcome to OnLive, like this woman's face. That was really, you could tell like high-end rendering station going on there.
Sweet.
And even though they didn't really play around with it too much, I'm like, that is where it could quickly become like a killer app. If they release one game that is unbelievable graphics that you're able to play with this little box and that nobody can purchase the hardware for it, that would be a killer app. That would be just like, wow, I must get my hands on this thing.
Right. So our heads have officially exploded. That is OnLive. Even if they totally fail at it, the whole idea is so good that I don't know. I mean, I'm excited. Gaming on demand. Bring it on.
The box that he held up there, he said, "This is the last console you'll ever have to buy."
Such strong words, but we'll have to see. So we are running low on time, but let me just slip in a quick nostalgia segment here at the end. Every week we always like to reminisce about growing up geek, but I figure inspired by OnLive's futuristic technology, I would like to think about what technologies we thought as kids that we would have by now that we do not have by now. And for me, that is totally the hoverboard.
What is hovering technology at all? Flying cars
that's anywhere near decent.
Yeah. It's like, what?
Jetpacks.
We had all these ideas. We were just like, yeah, you got to get some magnets under there, and you're good to go.
Well, I had kids at school that told me, like, oh, they've got a working one. And I would press them for information, like, well, how does it work? And they were like, well, see, the Earth has a magnet in it, and it has magnets, and so it just repels off the Earth's magnet. And I'm like, that totally makes sense. But I couldn't ever find it, and so I had Dad make me a wooden one. And I actually, I'm confessing this, but I stood on coffee cans and took a picture at a particular angle so that it looked like I was hovering.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Well, that was all inspired from Back to the Future 2, of course.
Of course, yeah.
Of course. Holograms are on their way. But you know what's stupid is, like, there's now these cop dramas out there, like Bones, that have these hologram rooms that they go into, and they're like, well, if you look at the person's face, and they type it up, and then there's this perfect 3D thing floating there. I'm like, don't do that. It's a cop drama. It's supposed to be based in reality. We don't have this technology yet.
No holograms. It's, as our friend Jason says, the best thing they have in terms of holograms right now is like a shark popping out of a piece of paper.
Absolutely, saying, me want honeycomb.
Yeah, that's an in-joke. Yeah. But yeah, nowhere near the Doctor on Star Trek. And, I don't think a hologram will ever grab something and pick it up. But it looks like there is some technology they're experimenting on to get a 360 hologram, which is like, you can walk around it, but man, it's complicated. Like, to even think about that, like, in all these science fiction shows, they're projecting it from like a tiny device, but it's like, okay, how is it three-dimensional? Like, what is projecting it from behind?
Yeah.
But it's all right. The flying car, though, the other day I actually saw a test drive for the first flying car, and it was pretty sad.
Yeah.
The car, did you watch that?
I don't think so.
The car just sort of has wings. It's like, oh, it's an airplane. A flying car is called an airplane. To quote They Might Be Giants, where's my jetpack? Where's my space face?
Where's my hovercraft?
Yes.
You know what also I'm kind of sad? We don't have the whole kind of cyberpunk thing, really. Hackers are in fact just overweight guys with bachitoed fingers typing on boards until, their mom tells them it's time to dinner. And that's a hacker. It's not these cool, like, guys with mohawks sort of shadow run, like...
Yeah, jacking into everything.
Jack on, jack in, jack up, kind of like people who...
I'm glad you stopped there, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But then, you don't have that kind of, like, cybernetic implant person. You have just guys sitting around and at most they have a metal hip.
Are you one of these guys? Are you one of these guys that like wishes for the apocalypse?
You know what? I mean,
when you play Fallout, do you wish it was like that?
I do wish it was like that. Because it's far more interesting.
Oh, that YouTube video, by the way, that you put up was great about kids learning skills about hiding in abandoned burning cars or whatever it was.
Yeah, it's like, what's not important is about collecting ammo. It's about how to collect moisture from the air in human skulls.
Yes, that was the best. If anybody hasn't seen it, The Onion did a terrific send-up of the video game violence debate. But we gotta go.
Gotta go.
It is the end of the show, and thank you, everybody, for geeking out with us and downloading our program. Hey, Rob and I love doing this, but we would, of course, love to hear from you and sort of put a face on the audience. Our website is growing-up-geek.com. You can leave comments there on the show, or you can click on the right side and contact us via email. Either way, we'd love to hear from you. And as always, of course, you can follow Rob at twitter.com/GUGRob.
That's it.
That is it. I think that's going to do it for this week. Once again, my name is Brad.
Uppercut.
And we'll catch you next week.